Welcome to MJSA Expo Online. We're so glad to have you back with us. Today we're talking with Marc Rothenberg. He is the owner of Intercept Silver and Jewelry Care. And we're going to talk about his tarnish resistance products and some exciting new products that he has to show you. So welcome, Marc.
Nice to be here, Andrea. Thank you.
It's fun to hang out with you again. We got to do this about a year ago, right?
I'll be seeing you. I'll be very close to you at the MJSA show this month because our booth is right near where yours is.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
That'll be fun too. Oh, I'm really looking forward to the show. It's just like time to get out and see people. And I haven't seen jewelry making peeps in too long. So you have some new products, but I thought for our visitors who aren't as familiar with Intercept Silver and Jewelry Care, maybe you could start by just talking about Intercept as a company and what you produce.
Okay. Well, our company, Intercept Silver and Jewelry Care, we are the worldwide master distributor of packaging materials that utilize the Intercept technology that keeps metals from corroding. It was actually invented by Bell Labs back in the mid-'80s. We had during the restoration of the Statue of Liberty project. They were at the time putting up new sheets of copper. They had to find a way to make the new sheets match the old sheets that had, almost 200 years of patina on them. And they realized by increasing the surface area of a standard copper molecule over 260 times, it became a very reactive material, and it would be a stronger magnet for corrosive gases than anything else that was near in the environment that was where the copper was, or the statue for this in this particular case. So what they did was Bell Labs was having an issue with their communications equipment was failing. It was all silver soldered in China. It was corroding before it even came here. And they realized by taking this high surface area copper and combining it with polyethylene, they could make packaging materials to keep the silver soldering joints, whatever, from corroding. And then that being the case, got into other industries, and we were approached by the direct licensee to see if we could get into the jewelry industry. There was a big demand for it, and that's basically what brought us to here today. We've become probably I hope anyway, the best well-known products for preventing tarnish, other than say rhodium plating, in the industry. So I think we sell our product to a lot of our distributors. You can purchase through Rio Grande, Stellar, Guess Wine, etc. And then we also sell to a lot of large manufacturers. So it's widely used. We ship worldwide, and it's a great product. It doesn't emit any chemicals or oils. All it does is absorbs and neutralizes corrosive gases that try to penetrate the packaging material.
So, and I think that's important for people to know that it not only doesn't emit anything dangerous, it doesn't contain anything dangerous, does it?
No, it's literally two ingredients: polyethylene and copper, and that's it. Nothing else. It's environmentally friendly. It breaks down to a polymer dust in a landfill. Like I said, it doesn't emit any chemicals or oils. There are other products out there that work by emitting a gas coating over the silver jewelry to keep it from tarnishing. The problem with that gas is that it can cause contact dermatitis and some other health issues.
Yeah. Well, and I found out when I was working in Europe, you can't even use those other chemicals.
That's correct. There's legislation in Europe and in Germany, Germany has the strictest environmental laws on the planet, and they don't allow some of these chemicals to be used, which you can find in this country because, for better or worse, in this country, if you list the ingredients of something as proprietary, you don't have to disclose what's in it. At the same time, we actually have a letter from OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, stating that some of these chemicals that are used in other products are considered hazardous substances. But because of the non-disclosure laws, they don't have to tell you that. So we're happy to say that our product doesn't contain any such chemicals. Like I said, it's just copper and polyethylene, and that's it.
So Intercept is a healthy, environmentally friendly choice.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned, all it does is it absorbs and neutralizes any corrosive gases that try to attack the item you're trying to protect. So we have, for example, we have an Intercept Bag. It's translucent, so you can still see what's in it. You put your item inside the bag, and what will happen is, if any corrosive gases are in the environment, and they're everywhere we are, they're in the air we breathe. They're very predominant in China and India, throughout Asia. They burn a lot of coal, so there's a lot of corrosive gases, much 200, 300, 500 times more than what we have here. But what will happen is this bag over time will start to get darker and darker, and it'll start to tarnish. So in other words, we say the Intercept is a sacrificial corrosion site. So the bag tarnishes, so everything inside it stays pristine.
Well, I can vouch for this because I love, love, love silver jewelry. So my jewelry box is like half silver. And I cleaned all my silver and I put it in little Intercept bags, and I haven't had to clean it again. I mean, other than just like you wore it and you wipe it. Yeah, you should always wipe your jewelry down before you store it. But so other than that, I've had to do no getting out the sunshine cloth and scrubbing away and turning my hands black. It works. It works really well. Now my bags aren't black yet. I'm waiting for that to happen, but my silver is not tarnishing.
It takes a long time. We tell people like this bag, for example, we tell them it'll take about 3 years.
Okay.
In reality, it's probably 5 to 10. But we say 3 just to protect ourselves, But also it depends on, there's certain things people say, is there a warranty on it? Well, we can't really warranty it because we can't control how it goes in the bag. If you put your fingerprints all over it, if you've taken it out of the bag multiple times, was it really clean enough when it went in? What's your environment? Are you storing it next to a furnace with loads of sulfur? But generally under normal storage conditions, and even in conditions like in China, the bags will work for 3 or more years, which is why a lot of the manufacturers that are shipping from China, pardon me, they're using the Intercept product so that, because it's a long time to get here. And now with what's going on with the pandemic and logistics and the slowdown in shipping, things are sitting at the dock longer. They're just sitting at the factories longer. They're sitting with the warehouses longer. So you need to protect it. So now more than ever, it's important to be using the right material to do that. And Intercept is that right material.
And, but I mean, if you're a producer, the last thing you want to do is, you don't want to go out to the warehouse and pull inventory to send to a customer and find it tarnished and clean it there. Even worse, you don't want the person who's picking the inventory to not realize it's tarnished and ship it that way.
Right. Basically, it's the Intercept is a great, even though the consumers can use it, and we sell it to consumers. They could use it for their silver jewelry. They could use it for their silverware. They could put photographs in it. I mean, anything that degrades over time, they can put in it. So it works. But even though it's, it works great for consumers, its wider use is used as basically a quality control product.
Exactly.
So that when it gets to the end user or when it goes on display, that it's not tarnished, which leads me to talk about some of our new products.
Okay, show us.
One of the newest ones, this is Intercept Foam. It's basically, it's a piece of foam, and we saturate it with a liquid form of the same material that's made from the bag. So it's a high surface area copper that I mentioned before, but we liquefy it, and basically we saturate it inside this foam. You can almost see how it kind of sparkles.
Yep, now I can.
That's all the copper inside of it. So what you can do is you can take 2 of these, and you can put one on each end of a standard 6-foot jeweler showcase. You'll hide it behind the display tray. For example, you don't want to put it under the tray because you're covering it, but you can store it if the display is, on an angle, whatever. You can just have it on the floor pad of the showcase behind something so that people don't see it. They're only a 1/4 inch thick, and they're 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So they're not very large or easy to hide behind, like a neck pad or some display tray, etc. So they put these in, and basically it just absorbs and neutralizes any corrosive gases that get inside the showcase, so that the jeweler, the retailer, doesn't have to, have their employees standing there polishing the silver every couple of weeks.
Yep.
Now there are a couple of other products that also, I don't know how great they work. I know Intercept works fantastic. You've testified to that. But there are ones that use those other chemicals that are emitting a gas coating. There's another product, without mentioning a name, that does a foam block, but it uses these chemicals that we were speaking about that emits this gas coating onto things. So Intercept won't do that. Just like the bags, these will start to tarnish over time. And when you start to see that happen, it tells you it's time to change the pads. They generally should last about a year. It could be a little less, it could be a little more, depending on your environment and how often you're opening and closing the showcases. Now, you could also use them in your, like if you're taking your tray at night, you could just throw one of these in the tray, put the tray in, it's safe. And
yeah, right. Keeping the pads, some pads in the vault on the shelves.
You could put them, you could do that. You could put them in drawers if you have drawers, etc.
Oh, finding drawers. Like if you go into any bench, if you go back by the bench in any shop, they're going to have a box that's filled with findings that are going to be segregated on metal. And you open up the silver findings box and it's just ugly in there. So you can stick it in the box. Yeah,
you can put it in the box. Now, mind you, if you have this findings box and it's closed and it's in a drawer, you can't just put this in the drawer. It's got to be in the same space. Some people don't know that, so I want to be clear about that. So that's how the foam pads work. There's a lot of uses for them. They're also used in the electronics industry and a lot of industrial applications, but for us, it's for jewelry. The next product we have are our tray covers. Just take one out. We had this out before. So the tray covers, they're 7 inches by 14 inches. Why are they that size? Because that's the size of a standard jewelry tray.
Right.
Now, sometimes they're smaller. Now, this is the same material as the bags, but it's a lot thicker. Our bags are a 3 mil thickness. These are 12 mil. But they're still very flexible, and they're very easy to cut. You can trim them down, like I did on this one, and you could fit it in a smaller box. Tray. So what you would do is you would just lay it in the tray. Hold that up. You just take it, lay it in the tray. Oops, that's the wrong one. It's not the one I cut down. You just lay it right on top of the tray and just let it sit right on top of whatever's in the box.
So it's just for when your trays are in storage, like when you got them all stacked in your backstop.
Right, exactly. And actually, even if you didn't stack this one, it doesn't matter because you're covering all the silver.
Right.
Now, it doesn't have to be hermetically sealed. All you have to do is just literally lay it on top of the silver that's in the tray. That's all you do.
That's sweet.
Done. I mean, it couldn't be easier.
I have to tell you, they look like my French baking sheets, the nonstick baking sheets. The people don't bake on these.
Yeah, don't bake them. They'll melt. Because it's basically it's polyethylene. It's plastic.
Yep.
So so this is great. There's a lot of applications. Not only the jeweler in his store can use them, or people in their safes, but if you've got manufacturers who have their salesmen out on the road. Now, I understand a lot of the guys they're not carrying live lines, but even the live lines are often in many cases it's silver. It's gold plate over silver. So this is a big help. They can lay these in their display trays. It's really easy. Just pick it off the tray and show your customer when you're in the store presenting your jewelry line or at trade shows.
Yeah.
They just they have. I've been to as a jewelry manufacturer myself. I've been to trade shows and I see all the trays. They have them all stacked on top, the whole line. And you just have one of these in each tray so that when you're presenting, it looks pristine. The last, there's so many other things people could be doing from production and being productive.
Then
standing there and polishing silver, it's almost a waste of time when you don't have to do it.
Right.
If there wasn't any alternative, you'd say, okay, you got to do it. But there are alternatives.
Right. I'm also thinking those sheets would work really well in that drawer with all the silver we got from my mother-in-law, which we clean it 4 times for every time we use it.
Yeah, well, you don't have to do that anymore,
I'm
Andrea.
going to get some sheets.
We actually also have bags that they're much larger. I don't have one here, unfortunately, but you can put it's a jewelry, it's a silverware roll. So
Ah,
you can
yeah.
put a five-piece place setting inside it and just roll it right up.
That's yeah, cleaning silver never ends up being the thing that somebody's just like, I can't wait to clean the silver.
Well, it's funny you say that. I have run into a few people over the years, not many, less than a handful, that say, I actually like doing it. I'm like, okay, well.
I guess it's like, it's kind of mindless and you just, can zone out and scrub things.
But I guess, like I say, there's a lot better things you could be doing with your time than standing there polishing.
Like scrolling through social media, right?
Yeah. How much time you spend on Facebook, right?
So those are really cool new products. So did you just
Yeah.
introduce those this year, or is that very recent?
Within the last 12 months.
Okay.
We've all of a sudden now as more and more manufacturers hear about it, we're starting to see a big surge in these filter pads.
Yeah.
Pads.
I can see that.
Because a lot of companies that are selling silver jewelry, what they're finding out, well, they've known this for years, is the silver, unless it's rhodium plated, it's tarnishing in the showcase. And their customers calling them up and saying, hey, your stuff is tarnishing like crazy.
Right.
And some more than others. So now the manufacturers, when they get an order from a retailer for a line of silver, they just include these because they're inexpensive. You're talking about $2-3.
And rhodium's not. Rhodium's not inexpensive.
No, rhodium at what is it, $1,800, $18,000 an ounce?
That's expensive.
And the other thing is, like, we sell a lot of our product is mandated by a lot of the huge retailers. Even Walmart, they make they request that their retailers use our product for packaging. So, even the big guys they don't like rhodium plating.
Right.
For a number of reasons. Number one, it makes it look like white gold
instead of like silver.
And also, it does discolor. It takes longer, but it will discolor. And if you have to do any repair work on it,
you have to
solder it, size it. I mean, there's most retail jewelers don't have the capacity to strip down the rhodium and replate rhodium. I mean, it's a big process, and most retailers, they don't have it. Certainly, Walmart, or any of the big, huge retailers, you have a better chance of finding a manufacturing retailer or a smaller person that may have it, but more often than not, most retailers don't have that capacity.
Now, if I were a retailer, I would also be sending my customers who bought silver from me home with a bag or a pad, because I don't want them coming back later and saying, my jewelry looks terrible. Yeah. And people don't understand tarnishing, not really.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of our customers that are retailers, what they'll do is they might buy, we have fabric pouches. Mm-hmm. We have, one. So we have these pouches that are also, I don't know if you can see it.
Yep, line.
Copper color to it. It's the same copper, it's inside the pouch. So we sell these to retailers, and some of them will resell it to their customer. A lot of them will just include it with the sale because it's pennies basically.
Yeah.
But what we've learned is a lot of those retailers, their customers come back and they say, "Can I buy some of those? I want to use it," because they see that it works great.
Yeah, it's a nice loyalty thing too. It's a very inexpensive way to give somebody that feels like a lot of value and that you appreciate the purchase, which I think people are used to getting when they buy high-end gold jewelry, but they don't necessarily feel as appreciated when they're buying silver.
Right. So, it's not, everybody likes to get something for free, right. And when it's something that benefits them, they like it even more. So, and like I said, a lot of them, they'll come back and they want to buy it. Mm-hmm. So, you could you could it's an upsell. It could be a bit of an upsell if you choose
Not
to
only an
do
upsell,
that.
it gets them back in the store.
Yeah, it gets it back because they want more of this stuff.
That's
Why
right.
not? That's one of the Tiffany's, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They don't do a whole lot to keep things from tarnishing because they want the consumer to come back with the jewelry and have it polished by Tiffany because, they charge a lot of money to do that. But, you could just use our product and you don't have to deal with that kind of thing.
Yep. And still get them back in the store when they come to buy more.
Right. But that's their idea. That's the way of getting it back in.
Very cool. So how did 3M find you? Like that doesn't.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Hear that story.
Well, 3M didn't find us as much as we found them.
Okay. Find them or why?
Anti-tarnish paper had been around for, I don't know, a long, long time.
Yeah.
And 3M manufactures it. They had a company called Whitney Worldwide that was the master distributor of charcoal paper, which is what 3M sells, charcoal paper. They were the master distributor of it into the jewelry industry and for industrial and electrical applications. The problem is it's paper, and it's made with charcoal. The paper, it flakes off, so it leaves, dust, a charcoal dust wherever it goes. It has a slight abrasive feel to it. So if it comes in contact with jewelry, especially if it's getting tossed around, which it does during shipping and storage, it was scratching the silver. So when we came out with, that was our first product, was Intercept Antitarnish paper. Although it's not a paper, it's a polymer, it's a polyethylene. So it's super smooth. It doesn't scratch anything. It doesn't flake off because there's no charcoal. It's a very clean material. So, that's what we started with. We started getting it into the industry, and over the years, a lot of those users of 3M charcoal paper started switching over to Intercept. And, it took a number of years because it's, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of businesses, but slowly but surely, 3M slowly was losing all the sales from the charcoal paper to Intercept, to us. So I think it's about 3 years ago now, they stopped making it. They stopped making the paper because their master distributor, we were taking all the business away. So he was selling less and less of it. And then finally 3M says, you know what, you're not buying enough of it. We have to they have to literally make hordes of, millions of pieces, just like we do. They had to make millions of pieces, and it just wasn't selling because it's just not, it's an inferior product. Or I should say Intercept is a superior product. So they stopped making it, and that was a couple of years ago now. And so, and ever since that happened, it's just,
You picked up that market then.
The world has been knocking at our door. So now we're also selling it for industrial applications, some electronic applications. Some of our distributors sell it to their customers that are in industrial or electrical applications. So it's got a wide use of applications for it. There are other Intercept companies that sell Intercept to the military. They sell it to the U.S. military, Singapore, other militaries around the world. There's also an Intercept company that sells it to Toyota, BMW, Rolls-Royce to keep their engine blocks from corroding. And it's used. We're also expanding now into the musical instrument category. So it works protecting flutes and saxophones.
I have a flute that needs some help.
There you go. So it's a great product. It really, and it works. Like you said it yourself, it works, and it works great, and it's safe.
So, but you were in the jewelry industry before you had that experience with any anti-tarnish product, right?
That's correct. As a matter of fact, I was a jewelry manufacturer. We were family owned. I was actually, third generation maybe fourth, because I don't know what my great grandfather did, but my grandfather was a jeweler in Russia, which in Kiev, which is now Ukraine. But he was a jewelry manufacturer and a diamond importer.
Okay.
Actually, I should correct myself. My grandfather only did diamonds. My father came on board and he started manufacturing. And so he kept with the diamond importing and started doing the jewelry manufacturing. Excuse me. And then I came on board. So I'm the third generation. So we sold to mostly mom and pop jewelers in the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut area. I did that for about 25 years. But we did very little silver. So I was really never involved with silver. Tarnish was really not much of an issue or even a conversation at that point. But when I was introduced to the technology, that's when I thought, this sounds like there's a big demand for it. And as an independent jewelry manufacturer selling to small mom and pop stores, the competition is fierce.
Yeah.
And then at the time that I got into Intercept, more and more jewelry was coming in from China and Thailand and India. And I just thought, this sounds like $1 million idea. Well, I haven't made millions of dollars, but I'm doing better than if I had stuck as a small manufacturer, it was a grind. It was a grind. So this is it. Like I said, it's a great product. People contact us pretty much almost every day. There's a new company contacting us saying, hey, we need your product. It's just nice to, as a jewelry manufacturer, you got to go and most manufacturers, if there's anybody out there listening to me right now, you know what I'm talking about. You got to go into these retail stores and you practically got to shove the jewelry down their throat sometimes just to get them to buy it, especially when times are tough. But that's the beauty of Intercept. It's like, I don't have to do that. It's either they need it or they don't. And the ones that kind of put up a resistance, then I realize that they don't have an issue or they don't need it or they don't want it. And I don't spend time pushing it down their throat because there's too many people out there that do need it and they understand it.
So do you have minimums?
We have no minimums. You can order. We have minimum packages. Like, for example, we have the anti-tarnish tabs that we sell. You can buy a pack of 100, but you only have to buy one pack.
Got it.
You can buy a pack of 500, but you only have to buy one pack. We have these anti-tarnish strips, the 2x7 strips that we have printed. These come in packs of 20, pack of 500, packs of 1,000. You only have to buy one pack of whatever quantity they come in. Same thing with our bags, our anti-tarnish bags. They come in packs of 10, packs of 100, and packs of cases of 3,000 if you need to buy them in bulk. And then the tray covers, we sell these 2 in a pack and 4 in a pack. So
okay.
But you only have to buy one pack. So, and a lot of our products, you're talking about things that are, $5, $10. So it's, it's not a big investment.
You could try it, right? Now, do you sell direct or do people need to go through a distributor like Stuller?
They can go through Stuller or Rio Grande Guest Wine, or they can go through us. Basically, the price is the same either way. Actually, you'll get some discounts with our distributors because if you buy more than one pack, they have quantity discounts, which we don't do that because we don't really. While we sell to anyone who finds our website, we really want to promote our distributors.
Okay,
which is why our prices are a little bit higher from our website. We want to keep our distributors happy.
Absolutely. So, and people want to get the volume discount. So once you know that it works, you're not going to need just one.
Right.
Very cool. So anything else we need to know about you just showed like a couple of more products. So we were talking about the bags and then the pads and the new sheets.
Right.
But then you just showed us the tabs and the strips.
Yep. You want something? I can show you something else.
Oh, that's something else.
This one's not necessarily a new product, but It's an existing product that we've had. This is Intercept Keeps. It's our keepsafe line. It's basically, this is a jewelry roll.
Nice.
So it just has zippered compartments. You just zip them open. You can see it's got the copper inside. Copper. It's got a netting over it too. You just put your silver in here, zip it closed, tie it up, and you're done. And this will work for 20 years.
20.
If you kept your silver in here, or any metal for that matter, any item that tarnishes, if you put it in here and you didn't open it up for 20 years, you would take it out and look exactly like it did when you put it in. Which is like, we have people use it for oxidized silver. Sometimes they'll have we just had someone just the other day email us. They're having an issue. They have oxidized silver pieces, but the entire item is not oxidized, just parts of it. So the parts that aren't oxidized are tarnishing, and the ones that are oxidized are getting darker.
Right. Well, and I can't tell you how many stories there are of people taking their partially oxidized designer jewelry to a jeweler, and they polish off the oxidized part. And now you don't have the same design that you started with. It's a real problem.
So basically, Intercept basically stops whatever's happening at the time you start to use it. So if you put an item in there and it's got a little bit of tarnish on it, it's not going to continue to tarnish. It's basically, it stops in its tracks. So it's like the old saying, remember, used to say about computers, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever it looks like going in the Intercept bag, that's just what it's going to look like.
Coming out. All right.
So,
now, in the Intercept bag, will the insides of those pockets darken over time?
They will, but because they're enclosed, that's why it's going to last. You get 20 years of use out of it. I mean, even if we just took that material, like we have there's 3 types of Intercept. There's static Intercept, which is the anti-tarnish strips and the little square tabs. That's static Intercept, and there's Corrosion Intercept. So Corrosion Intercept is the copper color. Static Intercept, it looks like it's black, but it's actually dark brown. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can see this is brown.
That is true black.
Okay.
So what's the difference between the static and the corrosion?
Okay, so static Intercept has a lot more copper in it, which is why it looks a lot darker. And the reason why we put more copper in the strips than we do in, say, the bags is because where the strips and the tabs are used, they're used in like an earring box or a ring box or a bracelet box, and they're more of a short-term use. But because you're not completely surrounding the item with Intercept, it's only a piece that's inside your box. We need it to be a stronger magnet for the corrosives than the bag. Okay, so that's the main difference. Corrosion Intercept just has less copper in it.
Okay.
That's why. That's
basically three. You said there's static and corrosion. What's the third one?
Oh, I'm sorry. So yes, there's 2 forms of Corrosion Intercept. This is translucent Intercept. As you can see, I'm putting my finger behind it, not even in the bag. You can still see my finger. If I put it inside, you'll see it even better.
Yep.
Static, then there's just regular full Intercept, not translucent. It's just like these tray covers.
Okay.
So you can't see what's in it. But now we have bags like that. They're somewhere else, but we have Intercept bags that look like these. And those bags will work for 10 years.
Okay. So is there more?
You can't see inside those bags because it's not the translucent material. We developed the translucent because the jeweler needs to see what's inside the bag without having to go and look and see what's in it. That's not to say you can't take the full Intercept bags and write on it. You can. You can write on the outside. Even on the translucent bag, you can write on it, put a label on it if you want.
Okay. So there's the most copper in the strips?
The strips have the most copper. Now, the strips and the tabs are a short-term solution. Basically, it works for about 6 to 12 months. But they're I hate to use it, but they're dirt cheap. I mean, we're talking like 3 cents, 3, 4 cents for one of these things. So but again, it only works for 6 to 12 months. A lot of the retailers that are mandating their manufacturers use our product, that's what they're doing. They just throw one of these little squares in a ring box, a bracelet box, or whatever. These will work up into any enclosed container that measures up to 30 cubic inches.
Oh, that's pretty good size for that little. I mean, those are pretty.
Most Ziploc bags. I mean, if you have a Ziploc bag that's say 4 inches by 6 inches, and even if you put something in there, it's not even a half inch thick. That's not even 12 cubic inches. So, then there's the strips. Now these work up to any container that measures up to 424 cubic inches. So just multiply the width times the depth times the height, and that's how as large as you can go.
Okay.
Now, if it's large, you can add more strips. It won't work for any longer, but it'll cover more of the area.
More of the area. Okay.
Yeah. There are some companies. There's a couple of companies that make anti-tarnish strips, but they make them. They come in a white color.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is they use these chemicals that we were talking about earlier that have some issues with them. And they throw those in showcases, but they're not nearly as effective as these foam pads. Now, you can put our strips in a smaller case. I've had people say, well, if I have my showcases 6 feet, I'm going to need like 100 of those. No, you don't. You just need one of these.
Right. So is that why you guys made the pads? Because it would give you a lot more area coverage?
Exactly. I remember as a jewelry manufacturer, when I go out on the road selling to retailers, I'd often see these white strips of paper in the showcase. And I would look and I'd see, but the silver was tarnished. I remember one particular fellow I used to sell to in New Jersey. And we're about the same age, so we had a really good relationship. And I'd say, Michael, the stuff's tarnishing. What do you do? He says, I don't know. I'd buy them from, I don't want to name any names. And he buys and says, I don't know. They don't really do much.
But I buy them and throw them in the case.
But he does it anyway because he figured, why not?
Exactly.
But happy to say he doesn't use those anymore. He uses Intercept. So.
Well, see, you went back and solved this problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically how I started the business. I was out selling on the road, selling jewelry, and I started bringing some of the Intercept stuff for that with me. I started showing it to retailers, and they, a lot of people liked it. They bought some of it. And I thought, this maybe I'm onto something, So, and sure enough, here we are. It's we're now in our 18th year.
Okay.
So
it's been a while. That's I always think it's cool for people to hear from people who reinvented themselves. I mean, you can reinvent yourself in your own business by coming up with like a new product line or a new, some people will go into an entirely new model with whatever, but you can also reinvent yourself by totally shifting gears, but it takes a lot of courage to do.
Yeah, it was very stressful, I have to tell you, because when I was still manufacturing, and I was working with the Intercept, when I started to realize, I showed it to a home shopping network, for example. We showed it to them, they were interested in it, and they started ordering it. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't making enough money that I could support my family, with the quantities that we were selling at that time, because this is very early on. So I still had to go sell jewelry, So I was literally trying to keep the jewelry business going while I was growing the Intercept business. And it was very stressful because basically, as the Intercept started to grow, now I was running 2 businesses, full-fledged business, not one that was just growing. But now I had 2 of them, and I finally had to turn the corner and say, okay, I got to take a leap of faith, get out of the jewelry, concentrate on Intercept. My wife said to me, she says, if you would spend half the time on Intercept that you spend on jewelry, I bet you'll do better. And behind every man is a woman, right? and she was right, 100% right. So that's how it started. But it was very hard trying to run two businesses at the same time. But
And I would imagine after being, multi-generation jeweler, your identity was wrapped up in being a jewelry manufacturer too.
yeah, I remember when my father was retired at that time. I had bought the business from my father, but we spoke all the time. He lived in Florida. I was in New Jersey. And he at first was a little skeptical about it. And then when I called him and I told him, oh, by the way, now QVC wants their vendors to use our product, he sort of turned a corner and he started to see, wow. And the funny thing is when we first started out, as it started to really start to take on, we would get vendors from overseas, China, India, Thailand, that would start sending us orders. I'd wake up in the morning and I have an email box full of orders from overseas. And he loved to see that because he couldn't believe that. My wife says, you're making money while you're sleeping. It's kind of true. And so when he saw it, he was, it was his father started the business. He made it grow. I made it grow. So there was a little bit of skepticism on his part. And when I finally closed the jewelry business, I sensed that he was a little sad about it.
I would imagine. Fair enough.
He was also so excited for what was happening. When I told him, we get orders every single day.
Who gets that, right?
Like, without going out on the road. And they actually, you don't even have to ask them; they just call you. Yeah, so he lived to see it. My father passed away about 10 years ago. We've actually, even from where we were 10 years ago, we're probably doing almost double the amount of business we did then, and we were doing very well then. So, but I'm glad he got to see it. Yeah,
me too. That's cool, and good for you for seeing an opportunity and not being afraid to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, my wife said to me that like I said before, he put his half the effort into that as he did the rest. But she was my biggest proponent, cheerleader, I guess you would say.
Nice. Yeah, we all need that.
So that's the story behind the Intercept world. But it's all, like I said, it's used in a lot of other industries. I think I already touched upon it, how it started. Technology started it with the Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty, yeah.
And the nice thing about brings us to another nice aspect of Intercept. It's an American innovation. It's an American-made product. It's made here in the United States. The only product we make that's not are the pouches. We make the material here. We only send it over to China to be sewn up. Otherwise, all the components are American made.
It's very difficult to find any level of production volume sewing in the United States today. Yeah. It almost non-existent.
Yeah. So, but as far as all our other products, mostly the tabs and the strips, those we sell through we have several distributors overseas, in India and in Thailand and in Hong Kong and China, that service some of our existing customers. And then they have other customers they sell to as well. So if you're a manufacturer based in the U.S., but you're having it made over in China, for example, or India, you can you can buy our products through us
over there.
From over there.
And then it ships to you, tarnish protected, and you don't have to clean it all up.
Nope, those days are over.
Those days are over. Nice. Well, thank you. It's a great product line. As you know, I'm a fan. But I hope that more people will. And you keep saying it's just pennies. Like, why wouldn't you try it?
Exactly. I wish we could raise the price. If we even raise, you know what? but people in the jewelry industry, in particular, are how should I say, very tight with a buck.
Very conscious about prices, for sure.
But the thing with if you're selling silver jewelry, if your item is $10 and you have to pay 10 cents for a bag, already you're taking out 10 cents out of the profit. And if they're only making 20%, that's why the tabs are a good alternative, because they're literally like 3-4 cents.
Well, before the bag, we're back to my jewelry box now, though I was distributing your products before I opened this company. But before the bags, I had the tabs and the strips in my jewelry box, and they worked great. But I was sticking all my jewelry in little bags in the jewelry box anyway, so I was like, why wouldn't I put them in the bags?
Yeah, you could put it in, if you have, maybe you don't want to buy the pouch. Maybe you have, 1,000 of your own pouches laying around. Take one of these little pieces and just throw it in there.
Yep. Yeah, I know
the other thing I should mention is all our products have a 5-year, what we call a 5-year shelf life. Now, most people probably understand shelf life, but for those of you who don't, shelf life is the amount of time the product can sit on the shelf and not be used.
Not be used until it's.
You have to use our product within a 5-year period. Now, if you take it out at 4 years and 300 days, and then you put something in it, now you've activated the bag. Now the active life starts. And that active life is 3 years, say, on the bag. So as long as you activate the product within 5 years, it will work for the effective life that we gave. So if we told you it's effective for a year, it's whenever that year begins from the time you activate or you put it into use. Otherwise, you just keep it in the bag, and it'll sit there for up to 5 years before it won't work anymore.
So is all of your products sold with a sell by date marked on it, or an activate by date?
Actually, they're not. The reason why is a couple of reasons. Number one, all our products have what we call a built-in saturation indicator, which basically what we said before is the bag starts to tarnish.
Right.
Even these start to tarnish, but they'll turn pitch black or gray or green, depending on what chemical. If there's a lot of sulfur or chlorine, depending on what the corrosives the environment it's absorbing. So it tells you when it's time to change it. But one of the reasons we don't put dates on it is because we make these things pretty much every day. The factory we're constantly manufacturing it. So as fast as this comes in, as fast as we manufacture it, it goes out.
So the likelihood you'd find it.
If you place an order for any of our products, it's probably not more than a week old.
Got it.
So if it's worked for a year or 6 months, the week is meaningless. And a lot of our products are years. So that's why we don't put a date on it.
So when you get them, just leave them sealed in the bag that they come in until you're ready to use it. And that's when the time starts. Not when you bought it, but when you start using it.
That's when the active life starts. But you have to use it within that you have to activate or use the product within 5 years.
And if you're buying stuff that sits on your shelf for 5 years, this is another conversation you have to have.
Right. So yeah, but like I say, you could get a pack of what we send you, throw it on a shelf, take it out up to 5 years later, and then you can start using it.
Okay, cool. Wow. Anything else we need to know about Intercept? You got any more surprises in those drawers behind you?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
We like to say, one of the things we like to say about Intercept, the technology, is that it works like magic, but it's based on science. So, and Intercept is probably one of the most widely tested materials in the world. Because a lot of the big guys, whether they be an automotive company or a jewelry company or whatnot, we have testing from up the wazoo, right? We got every test imaginable, and we understand sometimes people still want to do their own test, because it's just, either they don't believe us or they just want to verify. There's the old saying, I forget how that goes.
Verify.
Verify, Forget how it goes.
Are you going for trust but verify?
Trust but verify. Thank you. Yeah. So, and we understand that. That's fine. They can test it all they want. One note about testing: a lot of people will test things until it fails, and they'll say, "Hey, look, it failed." But they don't realize that if you're testing it to that extreme, you're talking about an environment that probably doesn't even exist anywhere.
Right.
Back when we were slowly but surely grabbing that 3M business, 3M would say that, their product works at these extremely high levels of corrosive gases in a chamber, which had, if you were in that chamber,
you wouldn't survive.
you would die. You would literally die. And the assumption was if it worked on such high levels, it would work on any level. But that's a false assumption. Intercept actually works on any level, high levels and low levels we work with on an everyday basis, which is why a lot of people were saying that the 3M tab wasn't necessarily working very well, because it doesn't work on the normal or even slightly elevated levels, but it would work on extreme levels, which really didn't exist anywhere on the planet. So just another reason why they lost the business.
How many people can say they stole a whole business category from 3M?
Basically. I used to have on my LinkedIn profile about how I overcame a well-known consumer brand name, product, without actually mentioning it. Now, of course, we can mention it because they're not making it anymore.
Right. So it has no negative health impacts because it only has 2 ingredients. It's environmentally friendly and even biodegradable.
Right.
And it works.
And it doesn't emit any chemicals or oils. It's non-abrasive. It's non-toxic.
And it costs pennies.
And it's very inexpensive. No, I was going to say cheap.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Okay, you're going to be at MJSA Expo. What's your booth number?
202.
202. Okay. So people need to come.
Lucy told me it's right across from you. All next to you're going to.
The info booth. Perfect.
So we'll be there. Booth 202, Intercept Silver and Jewelry Care, March 20th to the 22nd.
Excellent.
Be there or be square.
I never know. I like be there or be square or be there aloha. I feel like I need to alternate between the two. All right. Well, thanks so much, Marc. I really appreciate you taking the time to share this product information with everybody.
My pleasure, and always a pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah, I would.
And I'll see you in New York.
I'll see you in New York. Thanks again.